What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We got a crazy video, bro. Evil wife who drugged her own children as her lover killed her husband. What the fuck? Let's check this out, bro. This gonna be crazy.
And he said, just call 911. I said, what is it? Was somebody shot? He said, yes. And I said, who? And he said, George.
He was a really good guy. Everybody loved George. Everybody. Real friendly, likable personality. Would do anything for anybody.
R.P. my nigga George,
wife,
man.
The loving mother, the grieving widow, but it was all a lie. On the night of November 16th, 2017, George Young returned home from working security for rapper Lil Yachty, only to be taken down on his own front porch. His wife, Tia Young, claimed she was asleep, but the truth was far more sinister. Investigators uncovered a shocking betrayal. Tia had drugged her own children while her secret lover pulled the trigger.
What the fuck?
And $1 million life insurance policy. This deadly duo,
of course, bro. Like, it's always the black niggas too, bro. Like, gang.
Lust and $1 million life insurance.
$1 million life insurance is the reason why she did that.
Perfect crime until their twisted plan unraveled. This case is as twisted as they come and will leave you questioning just how well you really know the people closest to you. But before we get into how their plan completely unraveled, let's go back to the beginning. George Young was a devoted husband and father who worked tirelessly to provide for his family. At 43 years old, he had been married to Tia Young for 22 years, and together they had 3 sons. George ran his own security company, offering armed protection for high-profile celebrities, and he also installed security alarm systems under contract with Ackerman Security. According to his family, George was the definition of a hard worker, clocking in an average of 70 hours per week to give his loved ones a comfortable life in a quiet, upscale neighborhood in Buford, Georgia. But beyond being a provider, he was known for his kindness, always willing to help those in need. Sadly, that kindness was repaid with a brutal and senseless murder. On the night of November 17th, 2017, George was on duty providing security for rapper Lil Yachty at a clothing line launch event at an Atlanta mall. After wrapping up for the night, he headed home, arriving at around 11:30 p.m. But just as he placed his keys in the front door, gunshots rang out. George was hit twice and collapsed immediately.
He got shot on the side. His keys were actually in the door when he was shot and killed.
Inside, Tia heard 2 loud pops, but at first she wasn't sure if it was gunfire or just fireworks going off outside.
I heard 2 loud shots. At first I thought it was gunshots, but I wasn't sure what it was firecrackers.
Tia later told the police that her brother Tim, who was living with them at the time, immediately grabbed a shotgun and rushed outside to see what was going on. Tia, still in shock and confusion, had no idea of the horror unfolding outside until Tim came back with devastating news. George had been shot. They frantically called 911, and within minutes, police and paramedics arrived at the home. But tragically, it was too late. George
how long did they wait to call the police, though? It's the thing. You know what I'm saying?
At the scene.
I see the victim laying on the steps just off the front porch. Of course, there's pooling there.
Right away, investigators suspected this was a planned attack. George had no time to react. His body language showed that he was completely caught off guard, his hands dropping instantly when the shots were fired. The sharp cracks of gunfire shattered the usual calm of the neighborhood, bringing shocked residents outside. No one could believe something this violent had happened right in front of their homes. As news of the murder spread, the details made the tragedy even more haunting. George had spent years installing security cameras for others, but the one camera above his own front porch, the very place he was killed, wasn't working. His family said he had been too busy looking out for others.
The one time his camera not working is when he died.
System. Just days before, his oldest son, Dylan, had even talked with him about getting it back up and running.
Me and him, I talked about fixing one of the cameras that's in front of the house. Like a couple days prior, he asked me to possibly help him with that. And this happened. That's like, wow.
Dylan Young says he can't think of any reason someone would want to kill his 43-year-old father, George.
It's the hardest thing I've ever been through.
George's wife, Tia, says she was asleep upstairs around
ain't no tears coming out her eyes, bro.
Her brother went outside.
And he said, just call 911. I said, what is it? Was somebody shot? He said, yes. And I said, who? And he said, George.
The family says they found George in a pool of blood on the front porch, his keys in the lock.
During the investigation, one thing became clear. This was not a robbery. Nothing had been taken. George still had his phone, his wallet, and all his belongings. No weapon was found, but a single shell casing was recovered from the scene.
They said whoever did this may have been waiting for him, or maybe a gang initiation type thing.
Investigators started with the basics. Was there anyone who had a reason to want George dead? They questioned his family, asking if he had any enemies or past conflicts, but everyone said the same thing. George was a stand-up guy, well-liked and respected.
He looked like
by
he
everyone
ain't
who
really,
knew
you know what I'm
him.
saying, involved in the street or shit like that.
Everybody loved George. Everybody. Real friendly, likable personality.
Bro, you
Would do
ain't crying,
anything for
gang.
Anybody.
Given
I
the
ain't seen
risks
not
that
one
came with his
teardrop
job,
yet.
Detectives wondered if his work had put a target on his back. That night, he had been working security for rapper Lil Yachty. Could something have gone down at the venue? Maybe an argument or a run-in with the wrong person. Could someone have followed him home? Because to them, this didn't seem like some random attack. But after making a few calls to his co-workers, they ruled that theory out.
All the information we were getting while on scene was the night had gone great. He had even told the person he was on the phone with on the way home that everything had gone really well and there hadn't been any issues.
So if this wasn't a case of workplace danger following him home or a robbery, who wanted George Young dead and why? When authorities broke the heartbreaking news to George's sister, Ivy, who lived in South Carolina, she jumped in her car and rushed to Georgia, desperate for answers. On the way, she called Tia, hoping to understand what had really happened.
She told me that the police thought it was mistaken identity. She said it could have been gang related, like a gang initiation type thing.
Now, this was confusing to Ivy because George lived in a quiet, peaceful neighborhood, the kind of place where violent crimes just didn't happen. Every time she visited, she felt completely safe. So, how could this happen to him right on his
Sometimes
own
those be the
front
main
porch?
parts, bro.
And yet, that was the explanation Tia kept repeating to anyone who would listen. While some people accepted it, detectives weren't convinced. In fact, their suspicion of Tia was growing because they had never told her they believed the murder was gang-related in the first place. And that wasn't the only red flag. On the night of the murder, police questioned both Tia and her brother, Tim Lee, since they were home when it happened. Right away, investigators noticed their stories didn't match up. Tim told officers that when he heard the gunshots, he immediately grabbed his gun and ran outside, only to find George bleeding out. He said he quickly put his gun away and called Tia, but Tia's version was completely different. She claimed that after hearing the noise, she walked out of her bedroom and went to Tim's room, only to find it empty. Then she went downstairs, asked Tim if he heard the noise, and that's when he decided to go outside and check.
So you were sleeping, you heard these shots, you come down, Tim's sitting at the table, you ask him if he heard that, he's like, yeah, he heard that. Did he go check out the door first, or did he go get his gun first?
If I remember right, I thought he went upstairs to get his gun first, but I didn't actually watch him go in there and get it.
None of it made sense. Police
Yeah,
later
y'all
revealed
caught,
that
man.
during the 911 call,
It's
which
over
has never
with,
been
nigga.
released to the public, Tim can actually be heard telling Tia that George had been.
Why that nigga look
That
like
wasn't
Diddy?
the only thing that raised eyebrows. When Tia first called 911, she told the operator she thought the sounds outside were just fireworks. She even mentioned that her neighbors often set them off. But if that's what she really believed, why call 911 in the first place? And it wasn't just investigators who found her behavior strange. Ivy was starting to feel like something was seriously off too. After driving for 6 straight hours, Ivy expected to find Tia in complete emotional collapse. But when she walked into George and Tia's home, she was stunned. Tia greeted her with a casual hug and a simple, "Hey," no tears, no shaking, nothing. It was unsettling. Ivy had seen Tia in deep grief before. When her
Yeah, cause
father
like, bro,
passed, she had cried.
like, no, there's no tears running down her face right here, bro. Doing all this fake ass crying and shit.
Non-stop, but now nothing.
Like, bro,
even worse, the atmosphere
trying her
inside
hardest
the
to make
house
herself
was
cry.
disturbingly normal. No one seemed heartbroken. No one was mourning. Right. And Ivy couldn't shake the feeling that Tia knew more than she was letting on. But when she saw the news coverage about George's murder, her suspicions only got worse. One news outlet referred to Tim as Tia's brother, but there was just one problem. Tia didn't have a brother, and then it got even weirder.
Oh
Another
shit.
outlet said she referred to him as a cousin.
Oh, this her secret lover, nigga.
He's not related to us at all.
So who was he, and why was he living in George's house? But more importantly, why would Tia lie about it? But wasn't a complete stranger to Ivy. She and George grew up in the same town as him, but they were never close. She always thought he was quiet and a little strange. So how did he end up living in George's home? Tim later explained that he had lost his job, and George, being the generous person he was, offered him a position at his security company. And
Oh my gosh, bro. Damn.
when George found out Tim had been struggling and living in motels, he invited him to stay at the house with his family.
Never do
When
that. That's your
detectives
first
realized
mistake
Tim and
right
Tia
there,
weren't
gang.
actually related, they knew they were onto something. They brought both of them back in for questioning. This time, Tia admitted that Tim wasn't her brother, just a family friend in need of a place to stay. That was a major breakthrough in the case. Between their constantly changing stories and the strange circumstances of Tim living in the home, investigators knew something wasn't adding up. And then, another piece of the puzzle fell into place. While
What?
Tim and Tia were being questioned, a neighbor came forward with new information. He told police that right after hearing the gunshots that night, he looked out his window and saw someone sprinting from George's Lincoln Navigator, parked in the driveway, straight into the Young's house. And the person he saw, he was pretty sure it was Tim.
Oh,
When detectives went
shit.
back into the interrogation room, they hit Tim with a direct question. Had he gone out to George's vehicle that night? Tim admitted he had, but his reason? That raised even more eyebrows. He claimed he was taking off a GPS tracker that George had supposedly asked him to install. According to Tim, George wanted the tracker on his truck so that if anything ever happened to him, his vehicle could still be located. But if that was true, why was Tim in such a hurry to remove it? Tim's
For real.
explanation was a lot. He said he was just acting on instinct, trying to protect George. Then, out of nowhere, he brought up something completely shocking. He claimed George had been trafficking weapons from Florida to North Carolina, and one of the people involved had come looking for him. According to Tim, this mystery person even went to the house and told Tia that George owed them money. But when police questioned Tia about it, she had no clue what Tim was talking about. At this point, investigators turned back to George's sister, Ivy, who hit them with another bombshell. George and Tia had a life insurance policy. And here's where things got really shady. Tia had just told police that she didn't think any life insurance policy existed. She claimed she thought they had all lapsed. That was a lie. Investigators quickly found out that George and Tia had $1 million life insurance policy. And guess who the sole beneficiary was? Tia.
Damn.
Even worse. Despite claiming she thought the policies were inactive, Tia wasted no time. She had already called to start
Ain't, bro, you
processing
can't even trust your own wife, bro. Like, that shit is crazy. I'ma keep it a buck with you. I don't know if I'm ever getting married. I'ma keep it a buck, gang, cause nigga, it is a cold world out here,
plane
bro.
within 24 hours of George's murder. And then detectives remembered something else that was way off. The night George was murdered, the house was chaotic. Police were searching every room, moving in and out, talking to people.
Damn.
But despite all of that commotion, not a single one of the Young's kids woke up. Not even once.
We were in and out of their rooms doing searches. We were talking.
Nah,
to
but
them,
drugging your
measuring
kids
them
is
in the fire
crazy, bro.
trucks,
Like, killing your husband is
police,
one thing,
CSI, taking pictures.
but drugging
They
your
were
own
coming outside.
kids?
Everyone woke up but the kids.
Nah, bro.
Detectives believe
Give her
they
life.
know
I ain't even gonna lie to
She
you.
had been giving him Unisom sleep pills.
Tia admits giving one of her son's sleeping pills in the past to help him stay asleep at night. The boy told cops he hadn't had one for a month, until the night of his father's death. However, that's not what his mom said.
And soon,
Yeah, that's
investigators
definitely
figured out
suspicious,
exactly
bro.
why the kids hadn't woken up that night. Tia had given them sleeping pills. One of her sons told police that he had been taking sleeping pills to help him sleep, but he hadn't taken one in over a month. That is until the night of his dad's murder. But when cops asked Tia about it, she told a completely different story. She claimed she had been giving him sleeping pills for several nights that week. The stories didn't match, and that only made detectives more suspicious. At this point, police believed Tia had given all of her son's sleeping pills the night of the murder. By now, it was clear. Tia and Tim weren't just people of interest. They were the prime suspects in George's murder, and it wasn't just the police who thought so. 2 days after arriving in Georgia, Ivy confronted Tia directly.
I said, I think you and Timmy killed my brother.
I ain't gonna lie. That's a big mistake, her doing that right there, bro. Because I'm going to keep it a buck. They could have offed her right then and there. If she go up to them and think that they killed her, shit, she might come up missing next, bro. Real shit. So, next time, don't do that.
Arriving in Georgia, Ivy made the bombshell accusation to her sister-in-law.
I watched every move that she made. She definitely had something to hide.
Investigators suspected the same thing, but needed more evidence before making an arrest.
Ivy had been watching Tia closely, and something about her just wasn't sitting right. She was acting off, and Ivy was convinced she was hiding something. Then, investigators made another chilling discovery. Tim had been tracking George's every move the night he was killed. Using the GPS tracker he installed on George's vehicle and an app on his phone, Tim knew exactly when George was coming home. There was no way this was random, and as detectives kept digging, they uncovered what they believed was another motive for the murder. It wasn't just about the life insurance money Tia wanted out of her marriage. Despite whatever she told police, friends, and family,
if you want it out of the marriage, just divorce him, bro. Like, it's not that hard, gang. Just divorce him. Like, but nah, it was mainly about the $1 million, bro. Like, real shit. There's no way she just wanted out of the marriage. She wanted that money bad.
Same thing. Tia and George's
marriage. Because if it was just about the marriage, bro, she would have been divorced the nigga.
All over Tia's phone. The messages between Tia and Tim weren't just flirty. They were straight up passionate and intimate. The kind of things you send to a spouse, a lover, but not your so-called brother. And Ivy noticed something else, too.
They was probably
Tia
fucking before he got home.
Tim's room. At this point, it was like they weren't even trying to...
Young was down on his front porch. His wife Tia and family friend Tim Lee are brought in for questioning.
By April, Tia and Tim were back at police headquarters for another round of interrogations. At this point, the evidence against them was stacking up, and investigators weren't holding back. They got straight to the point. What was really going on between them? And just to make sure Tia knew they weren't playing, they slapped down the explicit emails she had sent to Tim, proof that their relationship was way more than just friendship. Tia folded. She admitted to the affair, but insisted they ended things after George's murder.
I have all of these emails.
Really? After he murders him, you wanna call off the relationship? Nah, bro. Nah. Not believing that. Not believing that.
This is where we're at, Tia. Okay, I want you to listen to me. I know what's been going on. I know Tim's involvement. I also know there's a lot more that's been going on here, okay? What I want from you now is to understand all of this, because what it looks like is you're this hateful, horrible spouse that connived with your live-in boyfriend to kill your husband for money. If that's how it is, then that's fine. You can tell me that. But if that's not what happened, then this is your only chance to tell me what was really going on.
That's not what happened.
Then tell me this is your only chance to tell me what's really going on.
Tim, on the other hand, he wasn't saying a word. The second detective started pressing him, he lawyered up, but it didn't matter. The police already had enough. Both Tia and Tim were arrested and charged with George's murder. Investigators were convinced that the whole thing was a setup, that Tia and Tim had planned to kill George for the life insurance payout and to be together. And all those emotional TV interviews, just an act. When they appeared in court, both of them pleaded not guilty, but the judge wasn't buying it, and they pleaded not guilty to await trial. As soon as news of their arrest broke,
look at this
the media
goofy
went
bitch,
wild.
bro.
Reporters wasted no time calling out Tia's fake tears, how she had been crying on camera, playing the devastated widow.
Yeah, for real, like, bro,
exactly
like if this was like, if she was like actually heard about it, gang,
went wild.
She will be bawling. Like, look at these little bitty itty bitty ass tears, gang. Her ass will be bawling. Her eyes will be red and everything. Like, bro.
Wasted no
she need to go to acting school. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Tears, how she had been crying on camera, playing the devastated widow, all while knowing exactly what happened to her husband. The situation got even messier when people realized that a GoFundMe page had been
now I feel bad for the kids now, bro. Well, like these two niggas basically already grown up, but like the little nigga, this little nigga right here, bro. Shit, his brother's gonna have to look after him now. I'm gonna keep it a buck.
Children, strangers, believing she was a grieving wife, donated almost $5,000, completely unaware that she had allegedly plotted to kill George for his $1 million life insurance policy.
It's tough. That's tough.
Who could forget a grieving wife
flanked by her emotionally overwhelmed children.
I don't know how I'm gonna do it by myself.
Mourning the death of George Young, a security guard killed on his front porch after a long day of work on November 16th. At least twice since the murder, Tia Young spoke with 11 Alive, pleading for the killer to come forward and face justice for killing her innocent husband.
Everybody loved George.
But months
Apparently
after
you
the
didn't,
crime,
bitch.
Police say these tears were hiding a deep, dark secret. Young and a family friend, Harvey Tim Lee, now accused of killing the father of 3. Investigators say the two were having an affair in the home Young shared with her husband, and they killed him to cash in on his $1 million insurance policy.
We figured that she probably had something to do with it. Something wasn't right. I just, it didn't sit well with me, her demeanor.
Most of the dozen or so neighbors we talked to feel the same way. They say days after the murder, Young was acting strange and not like a mother in grief.
If you would have got away with it, kids would have had to live without their father. But now that you didn't get away with it, now the kids have to live without their mother and their father.
The trial started on March 25, 2019, and it didn't take long for the case against Tia and Tim to unravel. Prosecutors revealed that after George was shot, Tia waited at least 5 to 10 minutes before calling 911.
I knew it. I said it earlier. I knew she waited, bro. Just to make sure the nigga was dead, she waited. I just knew it.
A delay that immediately raised suspicion. When police arrived, the crime scene wasn't adding up. George had been shot twice, but only one shell casing was found, and the murder weapon completely missing. Then came a shocking revelation from the medical examiner. The bullets that killed George were fired from inside or near the house as he opened the front door. One of the most damning testimonies came from Rob Strickland, George's former boss and close friend. He told the jury that Tia called him just moments after the shooting, but when he arrived at the house, Tim was already talking about sending the kids to school the next day, acting as if nothing had happened. And Tia, instead of grieving, she was focused on tracking down George's life insurance policy. Then prosecutors played Tia's 911 call, and the jury got to hear her lies firsthand.
In the call, she refers to the co-defendant as her brother, and she tells the 911 dispatcher she doesn't want police to come with lights and sirens because she didn't want to wake up her kids.
Okay, they're gonna come lights and sirens due to the severity of the issue.
Bro, what?
April 6th, the jury had
what wife says that, bro?
Tia was found guilty of felony murder, aggravated assault, and 2
life,
counts
bro.
of attempting to tamper with evidence. Tim was convicted of malice, felony murder, and aggravated assault. And on April 11th, they were both sentenced. Tim Lee received life in prison without the possibility of parole, while Tia Young was sentenced to life plus 3 years.
Yes, sir. Justice is served, bro. Real shit.
And Tim's betrayal. Did justice
R.P. to my nigga George, man.
Deserve an even harsher fate?
Like, gang.
In the comments.
All this over a insurance policy?
Just check out our other videos to see what else we've covered.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be reacting to more of their vids, bro. Real
so
shit.
You never miss an update. You won't want to miss what's coming next.
Yo, bro, y'all make sure y'all stay safe out there, gang, cause yo, being married nowadays, bro, it comes with a price, gang. I'm not gonna lie. Like you don't even know if you can trust your own wife nowadays, bro. Crazy. But shit, I wanna know what you guys think down in the comments below. Y'all let me know what other videos you want me to react to. Without further ado, I'm out.
I'ma make them feel me, make them people when they chow me. And if you don't know me, I'ma make sure that you know me. I hate to say it, but I really think I'm broke. But I know I'm chosen, I really know I'm chosen. I know I'm chosen. I was just lost a year ago, but now I'm focused. When good at sports, this microphone can be my trophy. Not taking drugs, I found a better way of coping.